Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday, the 27th of November today. We're blistering through in a month. It's nearly Christmas, crazy. It's also nearly the end of the year, so it will be a time for reflection on the year's goals, whether they've been hit, whether they've been worked on, and then I look forward to next year to see what our goals are going to be and what we can do to hit them. And if we didn't hit something this year, what we can do next year to hit them. This week, trading wise, it's been okay actually. 1.7R up yesterday, and I wish I'd filmed that because it was a nice winning day and my last vlog was a loser. So it'd be nice to come back with the win. So hopefully I can get a trade today and hopefully it'll be a winner. But as usual, I'm just trading GBPUSD on the London session and pre-New York session. And then after that, I'm just gonna get on with my daily routine. I've got Liverpool versus Real Madrid tonight, so I'll be watching that. I'm looking forward to that game because it's been like 15 years since I've seen us beat them. Hopefully tonight that'll be a good win as well and cap off hopefully what will be a good day. The weather's quite nice as well today, so a lot of good omens. I'm feeling it today. So anyway, let's get onto the charts. There's some news at 1:30. So I'll be looking to finish about 1 p.m. at the latest. Usually before the news, the price action can be a little bit low volume, a little bit choppy. So it may well be a B grade setup that presents itself and I'll just decide on whether it looks good enough to take. But yeah, let's jump on board and see what happens. We're starting on M1, and as you can see, there is a definitive trend to the upside. So my plan is to look for a continuation at the highs or to wait for a retrace down to support and then look to continue from there. Price hits resistance and then comes down into support before ranging and then pushing back to the upside. From here, we get another little range, but no real clear direction. Price then makes a higher high, drops back down to support, quick bounce before ranging again. And for me, this is now looking like a entry situation. Price ranges, tries to come down, and then pushes down for a second time before quickly reversing to the upside and making a high high within this little range. For me, this is an entry trigger, so I take a long at market with a stop below the most recent low. After a couple of minutes, price pushes up really quickly and nicely, and I'm thinking at this point, yep, here we go, we're away. But price pushes back down after another failed attempt of continuing to the upside, and it takes my stop loss out for a -1R loss. It then continues further south down to the next level of support before reversing quite hard. There are a lot of small candles which are taken out by just 3 bigger ones. We get another little range at the most recent high. For me, this is an interesting level to take a long from if the conditions are right. But what happens is price drops down, pushes up and takes out the high. What I want to see here is another push back down into the range just to tell us that it doesn't want to go any further south before then making a higher high, but it doesn't happen. Price moves sideways at this point and makes a high high within this small little range, which is sitting above the previous range. I take an entry again at market with a stop below the range low. After about 10 minutes of sideways action, price then teases the low as if to say it's going to go lower. However, at the most squeakiest of bum times, right at the range low, we get a clear momentum candle which takes out all the previous price action within this range and puts in another high. This for me is a really nice entry trigger. As I'm already in and I maybe misread the price action a little bit and got in a bit too early, this is a second entry which I take at half risk, again at market with a stop below the range. Immediately we start to see price push away, which is what I thought was going to happen on my previous trade. We have a lot of momentum to the upside, pushing towards my TP for 2R. It rejects and then immediately pushes back up to make another high, and then comes within a pip of my take profit. At this point, I decide to close my bigger trade because I've seen too many instances of this just retracing and me missing out on profits, even though my stop is trailed below the most recent low for about 1R. I move the take profit for my smaller trade up a little bit, just in case, and then I move the stop loss for that trade to underneath the most recent low. As price messes around a little bit, failing to push up any higher, I move my stop loss to 2R, which will eliminate the previous loss, and then it gets tagged out. I'm also a little bit wary at this point because the news is imminent, and as you can see next, price does continue on the trend, but I want it to be out and I'm happy with my 2.1% for the day. And I want to be out away from the news basically because this could have just done anything. It could have just completely whipsawed back down through all of the morning's price action. So I wanted to get out ahead of that time. So a good day for me. Okay, so I finished 2.1 R up for the day. I'll be honest, when I got that loser, I was like, oh, here we go again. The price action was really choppy and I wasn't too sure that I was gonna get another opportunity, but I had a little bit of FOMO after the trade. I wanted to jump into a short thinking maybe I've got this completely wrong, but it was actually a really good exercise in patience, and it was a good showing of that patience really. I had to wait for another setup. Can't remember how long it was, maybe about half an hour or so until the next opportunity presented itself. And then that nearly came close to getting stopped out. And I was thinking, damn, 2 losses in a row. This is not gonna be a great vlog. But happily, we got that big momentum candle to the upside, a second entry, which I took at half risk. If you watch intraday price action as obsessively as I do, you'll see that there's normally like 1 point, 2 points within a session where one particular candle will just completely change everything. It'll be a complete shift in momentum. It's almost like a switch has been flipped. It's like you're fighting algorithms for hours on end, and then suddenly a real trader comes into the market, or a bank or whatever, or a fund, and the momentum shifts and you can jump into a trade and it can just move off super easy, super quickly, and they're just a dream to trade. And that second entry was one of those entries today. So I'm up about 3.8 R for the week, and with Thursday and Friday being no trading days, that's a really good week, particularly since last week I finished red and we've had a little bit of a slow 6 weeks or so before that. So things are on the up. I'm pretty happy with that. And then now we've got December. Normally people say not to trade December, but it really is hit and miss. Last December I traded all the way up pretty much to Christmas and things were moving really nicely, whereas the December before, things were dead. But then the one before that, things were moving really nicely. So I think if you're gonna be at a computer anyway, if you haven't got anything else bookmarked to do other than just trade, then you may as well have a look at the markets, but maybe exercise a little bit more caution because of the low volume in this. But we could get a nice trend on some of the markets. Bitcoin is trending really nicely at the moment, so that's a good focus. So it really depends. It really depends on your system, your style of trading. Intraday normally is pretty good this time of year. It really doesn't matter. A lot of banks, a lot of funds have got goals to hit, and if they haven't hit them, they will try and squeeze that in before the end of the year. So that could see a flurry of activity. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Get on with my day now. I'm gonna go and get some breakfast. I'm gonna go for the gym, head out for a walk, and then we can have a little chat. And yeah, look forward to the football tonight. All right, speak to you in a bit. Smoked salmon, creamy eggs, perfect. Oh, it's so cold. Wow, I don't know where this fog came from. It was really sunny earlier. I was driving back from the gym and it just like appeared out of nowhere. And I thought, oh great, that'd be cool to film in actually. Whatever the weather is, it is neither good or bad. It just is what it is. It's what you make of it. Really, isn't it? Like if it's cold and foggy like this, I'm really buzzing for it because I think it looks cool on camera, but it can be a challenge if you're driving. It can be horrible to go out in if it's wet and rainy as well, but really it just is what it is. And it kind of is a nice way to talk about the subject I'm thinking of talking about today, which is emotional trading. Obviously last week I got a loser on the vlog. I pick a day out on the week to film on, and that's why sometimes you'll see a loser, sometimes you'll see no trade, sometimes you'll see a winner. And last week my video was about losing a trade and how to deal with that afterwards and just going about your normal process basically. It ties in with your emotions. So in the same way that you may see the weather as a good thing or a bad thing, taking a losing trade or a winning trade is neither a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is. And you have to kind of shift that mentality to be able to be consistent over the long run. By the time I've posted this video, I would have posted another one about how to build patience alongside capital over the long term, or to get funded. And it ties in with the emotional side of trading, because with taking a loss last week, it put me back. It was a setback for my goals, but I have enough experience to know that the week after can be green, and it has been a green week for me, and I could have another green week next week. So I don't get too disheartened with things. And really the easiest way to be more in control of your emotions with trading is unfortunately just time and experience. For me, it took years for me to get to a point where I became more in control of my emotions with both losses and wins, because even though the losses suck, I used to get really carried away with winners. I used to get really greedy. I used to suddenly think that my goals were just around the corner and I'll get super buzzing off of it. But now it just is what it is. I'll take a loss in the same way that I'll take a win. Of course, there are different feelings when you take a loss versus a win, and you have to manage them differently. With a loss, you know you've done something wrong potentially, and then you know you have to do a little bit more work to make sure that the next trade is a win. With a trade win, you have to make sure that the next trade you take isn't a loss, because you can get caught up in the emotion of being a bit more overconfident. You could think you have it all figured out and slack on the work that it took to get you to that point to take that win. There's a different way of dealing with things. There's neither good nor bad. It just, like I said, it is what it is. Unsurprisingly, if you've watched more of my videos, you'll know that the way to be able to keep on top of these things is to journal, is to meditate, is to come out onto walks and think about things. And that's a reason why I have these things outside of my trading. It is mundane, but it's a routine, and it's something that I know that if I stay consistent with that routine, I can stay consistent with my trading and I can stay consistent with my emotions. Because I know whether I take a win or a loss, I'm still going to do that routine. I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm still going to read a book. I'm still going to meditate. I'm still going to journal. I'm still going to come out here for a walk. It's all about having a familiarity in your feelings so that nothing rocks the boat. Whether I've taken a win or a loss doesn't change the fact that I come out here and do my 5,000 steps. It gives me something different to think about, but I'm still going to come out here and do them. It's not going to affect the way that I walk. It's not going to affect the way that I push in the gym. It's going to be exactly the same. If you're a newer trader, or you're going through the motions at the moment where you're in a losing period, or you're struggling to hit one of the goals and it feels like it's been ages since you set that goal and you're still not there and you're beating yourself up over that, it's something you have to go through, and there is another side to that. Instead of putting so much focus on those goals, and instead of putting so much focus on trading, make sure you're doing something different. Make sure you've got another self-improvement project which you can put your energy into and get different results from, that you can be a bit more in control of. Because like I said in the video I posted on Friday about patience, you're not in control of anything but your entry in the market. Everything else is up to the market, but you can be in control of your habits. You can be in control of your emotions. You just have to learn how. And it is a long process, but I would challenge anyone to do 30 days of journaling and 30 days of walking and see how you feel on the other side of that. If you write in a journal, you'll notice from day 1 to day 30, you'll sound like a completely different person. We are human, we do feel emotions. You cannot be an emotionless person to take to your trading. It's about being able to recognize that you have emotions that flare up when a certain situation happens on the market. Like when I took that losing trade today, your task, your goal is to be able to recognize when you're feeling that emotion, and that emotion is going to cause you to act subconsciously and reactively immediately. You have to be able to step back from that emotion, let it pass, let it ride through. And it does take time to get there, unfortunately. We all have to go through it. I'm here to talk about that journey and to show you proof that if you do just give it enough time and enough consistency, you can get on the other side and be more in control of how you think and how you react to things. Losing isn't fun. I still get emotional over losses, but that time that I feel emotional is way less than it was 2 years ago. When I get a win, I feel happy, but I feel happy way less than I did 2 years ago. I'm then focused on the next trade. In sports, in football, after a win, they then focus on the next game that's coming. You have to have a little celebration for a small win, I believe, because it gives you encouragement to keep going. But once you've had that little celebration, then it's immediately on to the next thing. So yeah, if you are struggling at the moment with your emotions, maybe you should write them down, review what you sound like, and then think to yourself, hey, do I really want to be that person, or do I want to be someone different? But you have to get these things in control first before you can get your trading in control. So yeah, it is getting pretty cold now. My nose is probably a little bit red. I'm going to head off home, and I don't know if you can see that. I'm starting to see my breath now. It is very wintry. Cool. Speak to you in a bit. It is really nice though, huh? The sky is blue and it is super foggy, but the sky is blue. It's really nice. There is the sun out, but yeah.
Second for the season, but that was too easy.